Why Monica Lewinsky? Why now? Why rehash that? What could possibly be the point of revisiting that story? I don't know. Nostalgia? I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 16, Chapter 2.
Monica Lewinsky.
Needless to say, I am deeply disappointed in the results of the recent Ontario provincial election. And I was horrified by the ganging up verbal beating inflicted upon Volodymyr Zelensky by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Vance's entire point was trying to prove that he was vice president, not Elon Musk. But at the bottom of my news feed, and not just the bottom, but next page at the bottom, was a story about Monica Lewinsky, a story that's always fascinated me. It's a story that's so 90s. It's been almost 30 years since Bill and Monica first hooked up. What more could possibly be said? Well, let's go to the bottom of that second page. Monica Lewinsky appears on a recent podcast called Call Her Daddy. Gets a question that no one has ever asked her before. Can you imagine? Decades? And no one? No one asked Monica Lewinsky how she thought Bill Clinton should have handled the situation, the scandal?
I think I've answered this question before, but good question. I haven't been asked that before. So I think that the right way to handle a situation like that would have been to probably say it was, nobody's business and to resign, or to find a way of staying in office that was not lying and not throwing a young person who is just starting out in the world under the bus.
Of course, she's right. However, Lewinsky has said many times before that though Clinton, an older man in a position of power, may have taken advantage of her and the situation, but that their relationship, whatever it was consensual. Consensual. We've since redefined what that means, and for the reasons I just mentioned. Imbalance of power and position. Consensual. Meaning she made choices too. An adult in her young 20s. What did she expect? To become the next first lady? Perhaps just a full-time mistress? The passionate love affair? Or just the odd dalliance, which is what happened. Lewinsky herself saying that she connected with the president on 9 different occasions between November of 1995 and March of 1997. For argument's sake, let's say it's the 500 days of Monica. And in that, only 9 where they were together. So, if it ever did hit the fan, which it did, it would come down to a choice between compromising the powerful office of the president or putting the blame on some conniving 20-something groupie intern. Who do you think would take that fall? Is it right? No, of course not. But you'd have to be naive not to think you've entered into that situation. She probably was naive not to think it would be a case of truth versus self-preservation. By the way, November 95 to March 97. Near the end of 97, the Drudge Report ran a story that said Newsweek had been sitting on a story about Clinton and an affair with an intern. That ignited the news cycle, and by January of 1998, it was all over the news. It was all people could talk about. Lewinsky later observed that she would be the first person in history to be crucified by the internet. As she told the podcast, patient 0 of losing my reputation online, I guess. But the internet was also in its infancy. It needed a Monica Lewinsky to help it grow. Perhaps we have her to thank for the cesspool that is today's social media. But in January of 1998, when the story broke, it was mostly television and newspaper. Hillary Clinton had to know what Bill was like, but Hillary was not your typical first lady, at least to date. She was quick to call the whole thing some right-wing conspiracy. As the story grew, it led to one of the most famous defenses by a president.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. These allegations are false.
By mid-January, Clinton was deposed about the affair. During the deposition, Clinton was asked, "Have you ever had sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky?" And, as that term is defined in the deposition, Exhibit 1, the judge ordered that Clinton be given an opportunity to review the agreed definition, sexual relations. Afterwards, based on the definition created by the independent counsel's office, Clinton answered, "I've never had sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky." Have you ever heard this? Clinton later said, "I thought the definition included any activity by me where I was the actor and came in contact with those parts of the bodies, which had been explicitly listed in the deposition, and with the intent to gratify or arouse the sexual desire of any person." In other words, what Clinton actually denied is that he never contacted Lewinsky's genitals, anus, groin, breasts, inner thigh, buttocks, and effectively claimed that the agreed-upon definition of sexual relations included giving oral sex, but not receiving oral sex. And this means Lewinsky giving, Clinton receiving, Clinton never giving, Lewinsky never receiving. Imagine being in that room during that discussion. Did they teach this in law school? Here's also a few names you may have forgotten from back in the day. In early 1998, Lewinsky did agree to sign an affidavit saying she'd never had sexual relations with Clinton. That was at the request of lawyers representing Paula Jones, who had earlier accused Clinton of sexual harassment. Then there was Linda Tripp, a civil servant who had befriended Lewinsky, and subsequently recorded telephone calls in which Lewinsky confided to her about her relationship with the president.
What time was all this? This was 10 to 6. Oh my God. I know. So rushing. I get over there, So I go to call her and she said, "Okay, listen, I need to get you inside before Steven comes over with the creep." So she rushes down to get me, we quickly go over there. I go into the back and I get plopped down into the back into the study for probably 20 minutes, a half an hour.
It was Tripp who encouraged Lewinsky to keep all the gifts that Clinton had given her and not to clean that infamous blue dress, which contained some of Clinton's semen. Incidentally, on Saturday Night Live, Linda Tripp was portrayed by John Goodman.
Linda? Hi, it's Monty.
Monica, darling, hold on. So, how was your day?
It was not bad. Usual, I called the press, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't hear that. Tell me that louder.
As more facts became evident, denial of a sexual relationship became harder and harder, regardless of any kind of divergent definition you chose to use. Kenneth Starr, there's another name. He was the judge who presided over the impeachment proceedings. It was his report that was handed to the House Judiciary Committee. Bill Clinton was impeached by year's end, 1998. He wasn't impeached for getting a blowjob off the side of the Oval Office. He was impeached for lying about it. But the definition said, Long story short, impeachment trials then proceed to the Supreme Court with the Senate serving as jurors. By January 1999, they acquitted Clinton. Bill served out his term, and then, in 2000, his vice president, Al Gore, either won or lost the election to George W. Bush, depending on who you talk to. Those hanging chads. Aftermath, well, it's odd to me that Bill Clinton went on to become a beloved former president, a highly successful public speaker, a valued and powerful member of the Democratic Party. The long-suffering Hillary went on to a powerful political career of her own. Did she lose to Trump because of the baggage of those days back in the 90s, when she was the wife, the woman scorned? Hard to tell. Sad, isn't it? As much as she has accomplished on her own, it'll be the careless actions of her husband that will always hang over her. So what of Monica Lewinsky? Lewinsky, at the time of this recording, is 51 years old. Just a little older than Clinton was when he made the moves on a 21-year-old intern. And about that, how do you think that first encounter happened? What exactly went on? I don't know. We don't know. But I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess that Bill made the first move. As much as a young woman may be enamored by being so close to the seat of power, the glamour of it all, I'm guessing Bill took advantage of that. My thought is that Bill ain't nothing but a hound dog, and a hound dog is always on the hunt. We've all known guys like that, right? So Bill makes a move. What is it? Is it just a gesture, a touch on a shoulder, a gift, an innuendo, a little joke between co-workers? The suggestion is now out there. And let's be clear, even if he didn't do that, even if it was Monica that threw herself at him, it was the much older Bill, the more powerful in this employment dynamic, who controlled the events. He had the option, no, the responsibility, to stop it right there. Of course, not something most men are famous for, turning down unwanted sexual advances from another woman. It's like your brain is playing chess against your penis. Guess who always wins?
It's like my brain is facing my penis in a chess game.
Monica came on to Bill. I don't think none of that happened. I think he might have initiated it, however subtly at first. And an enamored young girl got caught up in the excitement. Remember, Lewinsky said 9 occasions over several months. She also added that she thought there was at least 7 of them where Hillary was in the White House. So this takes on coordination, planning. This takes deception and diversion. I'll bet the Secret Service was involved at some point. Stories say that most of these took place in that little office, that study just off the Oval Office, a place known for having no cameras, microphones, or, windows, I assume. A good place to go to meet the intern, to, release a little energy, get some Johnson wax. What a handy little room to have just off the side of the Oval Office. I always wondered if Clinton was the first president to ever have sex in there. Can't be, right? Right away, of course, you go to Kennedy. See, I'm not so sure about that. Apparently, Kennedy used to have Marilyn Monroe brought right up to his private quarters. At least they had a bed.
Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Who else would have used that side room for sex? Eisenhower? Nixon? Lincoln? Doubt it. LBJ probably used that room to go pass wind in private. I'll bet Obama used it to go have a smoke. You can't make the President of the United States go outside for a butt break to the smoking wall. Well, whatever. Clinton certainly made good use of that side study. And let's face it, if there is sexual arousal between consenting adults and any kind of body contact ensues, that's a sexual relationship. Oh, sure, later you can add the exchange of body fluids, some heavy petting, and, any kind of insertion. That's where all the inner thighs and the buttocks come in, That's certainly enhancing the relationship for sure. But a sexual relationship can start before any of those things. And if deposed, that is what I will say. Lewinsky was a new college graduate applying to Washington to work in government. Through family connections, she got this job at the White House as an intern. Clinton was a hound dog, and they met. And this has already been said many times, consenting adults? True, perhaps by the rule of law, but hardly by modern social standards. She was 21. That's still pretty new to the whole adulting thing. Possibly still not fully aware of the repercussions of your own decisions. It may say 21 on the back of the jersey, but that doesn't mean you're a starter for the adult team yet. Once it went public, sure, there were people whose best interests were embarrassing and impeaching a president. A lot of the proceedings were politically motivated, but it doesn't mean that Clinton was not in the wrong. Lewinsky revealed only recently that she was threatened with 27 years in jail if she refused to cooperate with the investigators. By the end of 1998, Monica Lewinsky was a punchline. You know, David Letterman much later remarked, "I feel bad about my role in helping to push the humiliation to the point of suffocation." Dave. So meanwhile, by the end of 98, Clinton refuses to resign. He settles out of court with the aforementioned Paula Jones, a reported $850,000, while admitting nothing. Then, conveniently, Clinton orders a missile attack on Iraq after Saddam Hussein refuses to allow UN weapons inspectors into his country. How many Iraqis do you think died so that Bill Clinton could take the heat off the story about him getting head from an intern? You know, Clinton had much further to fall, but through the power of the office, influence, and connections, he managed to stay at the podium. Lewinsky, after all of this scandal, she did not have a lot of choices. A university degree, a White House experience, but, you know, you're Monica Lewinsky. She said she could have made about $10 million selling and telling her story, but it was mostly in ways she thought would be inappropriate. She applied for a lot of jobs, but often the interviewers would cite her history as being detrimental to the position. Well, welcome to the meeting, everyone. We see no reason, Bob, why your company and our company couldn't do a lot of business together over the years. I've got everybody together. I think you know them all. You probably haven't met our new district manager, Monica Lewinsky. Oh, you're Monica Lewinsky? Yes, why? Is that a problem? Oh, no. Nothing. You know. No, sure, good, yeah. All good there. Yeah, just remembering that I got another meeting I'm supposed to be at right now. Gotta go, bye. Following the scandal, Lewinsky engaged in a variety of ventures. That included designing a line of handbags under her name. She served as an advertising spokesperson for a new diet plan. She worked as a television personality. She received a master's degree at the London School of Economics in 2006. She continued to work in marketing and media, including for some non-profits. In October of 2021, she was the executive producer of an HBO documentary called 15 Minutes of Shame, focused on public shaming, online shaming, and ostracism. I always thought that Bill should have cut her a check, you know. Maybe he did, I don't know. I mean, $850K for Paula Jones. I would think that Monica deserves at least $1.5 million. Again, admitting nothing. Lewinsky also admits that dating has been complicated since then. I guess so. Some of the men went out with her for the novelty of dating Monica Lewinsky. Said she always wanted to be married and have kids. At 51, the kids' window is likely closed, and though single, she remains hopeful. Bill and Hillary, well, they commented directly about it all for a Hulu documentary a few years ago.
We all bring our baggage to life, and sometimes we do things we shouldn't do, and it was awful what I did. I told her exactly what happened, when it happened. I said I feel terrible about it.
I was so, personally just hurt, and I can't believe this. I can't believe you lied.
Why, Bill? Why?
You've been in a 15-round prize fight that was extended to 30 rounds, and here's something to take your mind off it for a while.
I don't know, is that the ultimate insult to Monica? Someone who could just take my mind off being president for a minute? A minute?
I saw him for 60 seconds. What? What? I saw him for 60 seconds. What do you mean? It was hysterical, actually. It's okay. You know what? 60 seconds was better than nothing. Well, are you serious? It was 60 seconds? I'm kidding. I'm not kidding you. It was 60 seconds.
So that's it. The main players are all still around. They mostly survived this scandal, dealing with life as a result of it. The story itself, marked a change in the way politics and politicians are reported. I don't imagine there were a lot of sex scandals for H.W. Bush or Reagan, Carter, Nixon, Johnson, who knows? Of course, Kennedy. The talk was always that the press corps knew all about Kennedy's indiscretions, but there was an agreement not to report it. The gatekeeper said, no, this has nothing to do with the job he's doing as president. And as I said, Newsweek was accused of sitting on this story for weeks, if not months, until they were called out by the Drudge Report. Since that, and to this day, It's all fair game, so much so that we're numb to it. A president who can just grab women by the because he's famous, convicted civilly of sexual assault, never mind criminal convictions of finance and business. Well, he gets reelected. I guess that's the nostalgia of this week's podcast. Monica Lewinsky and President Bill Clinton, they hearken us back to a time when we still found that kind of thing shocking.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.